All right. Well, it is, what day of the week is it? It is Tuesday, April 28th, 28th day of National Poetry Month. And we're almost done with book 11. Today is it for book 11. And then we'll have book 12 for 2 days and be finished somehow with this entire undertaking. A friend was asking me what I'm going to do after this to mark the time. And to be perfectly honest, I hadn't planned to need more than this to mark the time. Clearly, I will need something. So anyway, I'll be thinking. Nobody watches this anyway. This is for me, so I'm not even going to ask for suggestions. Hesitating a smidge to see if June is going to settle down or if, oh, I think she's going to settle down. We're in luck. All right, well, okay, so yes, April 28th, the last chunk of book 11 of Paradise Lost. And then 2 days of book 12. And that's it. Yeah. It'll be good. All right, so let's finish up, shall we? Remember we were sort of probably 2/3 of the way through the explanation of what was going to come next, like what was going to happen in the history of humankind, history of the universe. And Michael was telling Adam, Eve was like asleep to the point that she was so out that it was paralleled in the poem to how Adam was out when she was created. So we've got that happening. No more eavesdropping. Terrible, terrible, unintentional fun the first time. Totally intentional that time. And I guess we can just pick up with Michael and Adam. And it's almost like Christmas Carol-y. You've got these different visions. They go up high on a mountain, also, of course, like very biblical. On the highest point so that they can get a good prospect and have a good prospect of like the whole world in time. So it's an interesting like inflation of time and space. And Adam and Michael hang out up there while Michael shows Adam different snapshots of the history of the universe and humankind, especially of history, the future of the universe and humankind in it. So let's just pick up there. I think we're going to start around line 603 and go through the end of book 11, which is line 901. So here we go. To whom thus Michael? So Michael referring back to Adam. Judge not what is best by pleasure, though to nature seeming meet, created as thou art, to nobler end, holy and pure, conformity divine. Those tints thou sawest, so pleasant, were the tints of wickedness. Wherein shall dwell his race who slew his brother? Studious they appear of arts that polish life, inventors rare. Unmindful of their maker, though his spirit taught them, but they his gifts acknowledged none. Yet they a beauteous offspring shall beget. For that fair temple troop thou sawest, that seemed of goddesses, so blithe, so smooth, so gay, yet empty of all good wherein consists women's domestic honor and chief praise, bred only and completed to the taste of lustful appetence, to sing, to dance, to dress, and troll the tongue and roll the eye. To these that sober race of men whose lives religious titled them the sons of God shall yield up all their virtue, all their fame ignobly, to the trains and to the smiles of these fair atheists, and now swim in joy, ere long to swim at large, and laugh, for which the world ere long a world of tears must weep. To whom thus Adam of short joy bereft, O pity and shame, that they who to live well entered so fair should turn aside to tread paths indirect, or in the midway faint. But still I see the tenor of man's woe holds on the same, from woman to begin. From man's effeminate slackness it begins, said the angel, who should better hold his place by wisdom and superior gifts received. but now prepare thee for another scene. He looked and saw a wide territory spread before him, towns and rural works between, cities of men with lofty gates and towers, concourse in arms, fierce faces threatening war, giants of mighty bone and bold emprise. Part wield their arms, part curb the foaming steed, single or in array of battle ranged, both horse and foot, nor idly mustering stood. One way a band select from forage drives a herd of beeves, fair oxen and fair kine from a fat meadow ground, or fleecy flock, ewes and their bleating lambs over the plain their booty. Scarce with life the shepherds fly, but call in aid, which makes a bloody fray. With cruel tournament the squadrons join, where cattle pastured late now scattered lies, with carcasses and arms the ensanguined field deserted. Others to a city strong lay siege, encamped, by battery scale and mine assaulting. Others from the wall defend, with dart and javelin, stones and sulphurous fire, on each hand slaughter and gigantic deeds. In other part, the sceptred heralds call to council in the city gates. Anon gray-headed men and grave, with warriors mixed, assemble and harangues are heard, but soon in factious opposition, till at last of middle age one rising, eminent in wise deport, spake much of right and wrong, of justice, of religion, truth, and peace, and judgment from above. Him old and young exploded, and had seized with violent hands, had not a cloud descending snatched him thence, unseen amid the throng. So violence proceeded, and oppression, and sword law through all the plain, and refuge none was found. Adam was all in tears, and to his guide lamenting turned full sad. Oh, what are these, death's ministers? Not men, who thus deal death inhumanly to men, and multiply 10,000-fold the sin of him who slew his brother. For of whom such massacre make they but their brethren, men of men? But who was that just man whom had not heaven rescued, had in his righteousness been lost? To whom thus Michael: these are the product of those ill-mated marriages thou sawest, where good and bad were matched, who of themselves abhor to join, and by imprudence mixed produce prodigious births of body or mind. Such were these giants, men of high renown, for in those days might only shall be admired, and valor and heroic virtue called, to overcome in battle and subdue nations, and bring home spoils with infinite manslaughter, shall be held the highest pitch of human glory, and for glory done of triumph to be styled great conquerors, patrons of mankind, gods and sons of gods, destroyers rightlier called, and plagues of men. Thus fame shall be achieved, renown on earth, and what most merits fame in silence hid. But he the seventh from thee, whom thou beheldst, the only righteous in a world perverse, and therefore hated, therefore so beset with woes for daring single to be just, and utter odious truth, that God would come to judge them with his saints. Him the Most High, wrapped in a balmy cloud with winged steeds, did, as thou sawest, receive to walk with God, high in salvation, and the climes of bliss, exempt from death, to show thee what reward awaits the good, the rest what punishment, which now direct thine eyes, and soon behold. He looked, and saw the face of things quite changed. The brazen throat of war had ceased to roar. All now was turned to jollity and game, to luxury and riot, feast and dance, marrying or prostitution, as befell, rape or adultery, where passing fair allured them. Thence from cups to civil broils. At length a reverend sire among them came, and of their doings great dislike declared, and testified against their ways. He oft frequented their assemblies, where so met, triumphs or festivals, and to them preached conversion and repentance, as to souls in prison under judgments imminent. But all in vain, which when he saw, he ceased contending, and removed his tents far off. Then from the mountain, hewing timber tall, began to build a vessel of huge bulk, measured by cubit, length and breadth and height, smeared round with pitch, and on the side a door contrived, and of provisions laid in large for man and beast. When lo, a wonder strange! Of every beast and bird and insect small came sevens and pairs, and entered in as taught their order. Last the sire and his 3 sons with their 4 wives, and God made fast the door. Meanwhile the south wind rose, and with black wings wide hovering, all the clouds together drove from under heaven. The hills to their supply vapor and exhaustion, dusk and moist, sent up amain. And now the thickened sky like a dark ceiling stood. Down rushed the rain impetuous, and continued till the earth no more was seen. The floating vessel swam uplifted, and secure with beaked prow rode tilting o'er the waves, all dwellings else, flood overwhelmed, and them with all their pomp deep under water rolled. Sea-covered sea, sea without shore, and in their places where luxury late reigned, sea monsters whelped and stabled. Of mankind so numerous late, all left in one small bottom swum embarked. How didst thou grieve then, Adam, to behold the end of all thy offspring, end so sad, depopulation? Thee another flood of tears and sorrow a flood thee also drowned, and sunk thee as thy sons. Till gently reared by the angel, on thy feet thou stoodst at last, though comfortless, as when a father mourns his children, all in view destroyed at once. And scarce the angel utterest thus thy plaints. O visions ill foreseen! Better had I lived ignorant of future, so had borne my part of evil only, each day's lot enough to bear. Those now that were dispensed the burden of many ages on me light at once, by my foreknowledge gaining birth abortive, to torment me ere their being, with thought that they must be. Let no man seek henceforth to be foretold what shall befall him or his children. Evil he may be sure, which neither his foreknowing can prevent. And he the future evil shall no less in apprehension than in substance feel grievous to bear. But that care now is past. Man is not whom to warn. Those few escaped famine and anguish will at last consume, wandering that watery desert. I had hoped when violence was ceased and war on earth, all would have then gone well. Peace would have crowned with length of happy days the race of man. But I was far deceived. For now I see peace to corrupt no less than war to waste. How comes it thus? Unfold, celestial guide, and whether here the race of man will end. To whom thus, Michael? Those whom last thou sawest in triumph and luxurious wealth, are they first seen in acts of prowess eminent and great exploits, but of true virtue void, who having spilt much blood and done much waste, subduing nations, and achieved thereby fame in the world, high titles and rich prey, shall change their course to pleasure, ease, and sloth, surfeit and lust, till wantonness with pride raise out of friendship hostile deeds in peace. The conquered also, and enslaved by war, shall with their freedom lost by virtue lose and fear of God, from whom their piety feigned in sharp contest of battle found no aid against invaders. Therefore cooled in zeal, thenceforth shall practice how to live secure, worldly or dissolute, on what their lords shall leave them to enjoy. For the earth shall bear more than enough, that temperance may be tried. So all shall turn degenerate, all depraved, justice and temperance, truth and faith forgot. One man except, the only son of light in a dark age, against example good, against allurement, custom, and a world offended, fearless of reproach and scorn or violence. He of their wicked ways shall them admonish, and before them set the paths of righteousness. How much more safe and full of peace, denouncing wrath to come of their impenitence. And shall return of them derided, but of God observed, the one just man alive. By his command shall build a wondrous ark, as thou beheldst, to save himself and household from amidst a world devote to universal wrack. No sooner he with them of man and beast select for life shall in the ark be lodged, and sheltered round, but all the cataracts of heaven set upon the earth shall pour rain day and night. All fountains of the deep broke up, shall heave the ocean to usurp beyond all bounds, till inundation rise above the highest hills. Then shall this mount of paradise by might of waves be moved out of this place, pushed by the horned flood with all his verdure spoiled, and trees adrift down the great river to the opening gulf, and there take root an island salt and bare, the haunt of seals and orcs and sea mews claim. To teach thee that God attributes to place no sanctity, if none be thither brought by men who there frequent or therein dwell. And now what further shall ensue? Behold, he looked and saw the ark hull on the flood, which now abated, for the clouds were fled, driven by a keen north wind that blowing dry wrinkled the face of deluge as decayed. And the clear sun on his wide watery glass gazed hot, and of the fresh wave largely drew as after thirst, which made their flowing shrink from standing lake to tripping ebb, that stole with soft foot towards the deep, who now had stopped his sluices as the heavens his windows shut. The ark no more now floats, but seems on ground fast on the top of some high mountain fixed. And now the tops of hills as rocks appear. With clamor thence the rapid currents drive toward the retreating sea their furious tide. Forthwith from out the ark a raven flies, and after him the surer messenger, a dove, sent forth once and again to spy green tree or ground whereon his foot may light. The second time returning, in his bill an olive branch he brings, pacific sign. Anon dry ground appears, and from his ark the ancient sire descends with all his train. Then with uplifted hands and eyes devout, grateful to heaven, over his head it beholds a dewy cloud, and in the cloud a bow, conspicuous with 3 listed colors gay, betokening peace from God, and covenant new. Whereat the heart of Adam, erst so sad, greatly rejoiced, and thus his joy broke forth. O thou who future things canst represent as present, heavenly instructor, I revive at this last sight, assured that man shall live with all the creatures, and their seed preserve. Far less I now lament for one whole world of wicked sons destroyed, than I rejoice for one man found so perfect and so just, that God vouchsafes to raise another world from him, and all his anger to forget. But say, what mean those colored streaks in heaven, distended as the brow of God appeased? Or serve they as a flowery verge to bind the fluid skirts of that same watery cloud, lest it again dissolve and shower the earth? To whom the archangel, dexterously thou aimest. So willingly doth God remit his ire, though late repenting him of man depraved. Grieved at his heart, when looking down he saw the whole earth filled with violence, and all flesh corrupting each their way. Yet those removed, such grace shall one man find in his sight, that he relents, not to blot out mankind, and makes a covenant never to destroy the earth again by flood, nor let the sea surpass his bounds, nor reign to drown the world with man therein or beast. But when he brings over the earth a cloud, will therein set his triple-colored bow, whereon to look and call to mind his covenant. Day and night, seed time and harvest, heat and hoary frost shall hold their course, till fire purge all things new, both heaven and earth, wherein the just shall dwell. All right, book 11. We see the future through Noah. Adam is super sad, and then takes heart that at least there was one person who was upright and pure enough for God to relent and create yet again a new earth, or to bring the earth back after the flood, the earth and all the animals and all the plants and humans, etc. At any rate, 2 more days, and we'll be done. It's not much. Okay, until tomorrow.